Hello everyone, and welcome to the series with the most letters in its name possibly ever, the GPVWC ITC. And we are going to get some cracking racing today, as we always do. I'm going to be talking you through the lot of it. I'm Joshua Jones. I'm also your cameraman. And I must apologise before we start here that the quality of the camera work won't be as good as normal. For example, you will see things like graphics on the screen and a mouse cursor, and the reason for that is because I've had to edit and record and commentate on absolutely all of this, and therefore if I was to do it all properly I wouldn't have much time to do anything else. So unfortunately, that's how it has to be, but we hope that that will not take away from the racing at all. And let's get it underway. So for race 1, I'm about to talk you through the start. Chris Shepherd starts at the front of the field, followed by David Fiddock, Lewis McGlade, Matt Richards, Philip Morby, Stein Fiddet, Ben Willis, Ed Williams, Ryan Nash, Joshua Jones, James Wilson, Adam Taylor, Rudy Van Buren, Fabian Ridder, Jeffrey Fournier, David Franchik, Matt Klipp, David Yunt, Stefan McCready, Matthew Allington and Adam Hodgkinson. Now as we get into the grid formation, I am well aware, I should say, that I was in this race, so I have seen a lot of this race. I also edited the video, but I will do my best to commentate as if I have not seen the race. Anyway, we're on board with Chris Shepherd here, waiting for the lights to come on. And when they go out, we will see the race getting underway. So there's the first one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. Off we go, they're out, and the lights are out, so off we go. It's the purple car of Chris Shepherd leading so far, and he will, yeah, he's moved over into turn 1. Look at Lewis McGlade. So Fiddock loses a place, McGlade is up to second, and we also might get a change for third place as well, as Matt Richards is up the inside of David Fiddock. Now, look back down the order, we've got the two. Oh, contact between the two IDOS Motorsport cars. Round goes Ed Williams, and with the usual first chicane carnage at Le Mans here has happened. We're on board with Williams here. You can see he just gets squeezed between the two cars ahead of him. Here's Fidder, nothing that Fidder could have done. And that's just an unfortunate case. Oh, more contact further back, that's Fournier and Jones. So, oh, look at Fournier, my goodness. To be honest, all of the incidents, as Fabian Ruder gets a great view of it, he gets turned as well. My goodness, absolute carnage on the opening lap. Here's what Stefan McCready saw. It was McCready who hit Ruder, possibly with the help of Ryan Nash as well. So, as I was saying, the opening chicane carnage that we've normally seen at Le Mans Bugatti has happened again. And to be honest, a lot of people were expecting that. Now look up the front. We have Chris Shepherd leading from Lewis McGlade, Matt Richards behind, David Fiddock, and then Philip Morby bring up the top 5. And on this first lap here at the Le Mans Bugatti circuit, Lewis McGlade is actually much closer to Chris Shepherd than he was at the start. It's often the rear-wheel drive cars that get the best starts, because of the rear-wheel drive formation of the car and the better launch. But it looks like McGlade's been catching through the corners, possibly a higher downforce setup for Lewis McGlade. But he has been catching, and look further behind, I believe that was Adam Taylor having a look at the car ahead of him, further back in the field. I believe that was for 9th position possibly. Now we see a replay of Fabian Ruder getting tagged in the rear by McCready. So Ruder unfortunately drops back down to the last position here, and there's McCready. Yeah, Ruder just comes straight across in front of him. I don't really think it was either of their faults. I mean, Ruder was just trying to brake later to get the corner, but nothing either of them really could have done about it. So I wouldn't blame either of them if I was the race steward, but we'll see what happens there. Anyway, so this is Lewis McGlade in second place. Let's see if he can get in the slipstream of Chris Shepherd down the straight. Shepherd did do a little bit of ducking and weaving down the straight, trying to break the toe. I don't think Shepherd thinks that McGlade is that big of an issue yet. We've got Stijn Fidde side by side with Rudy Van Buren and with Jeffrey Fournier. Fournier up the inside. Fidde now has the inside, but that's not going to work because Fournier just gets the better run around the outside. And now look at David Franchik. Franchik might also get in on it. He's down the inside into turn 4, and Franchik does indeed get that place. That's 12th position. Also up ahead we've got James Wilson and Ben Willis side by side. This is for 8th position. Willis has the inside through turn 5 at the top of the hill. Wilson runs slightly wide over the line, but he's going to try and keep the inside for the right-hander hairpin. And if he can just brake later than Willis or keep the inside, it looks as if Wilson is going to get that 8th place. So James Wilson gets that 8th place for now, just ahead of Ben Willis. But Willis appears to have got a very good run out of the corner. Willis might go to the outside, possibly to the inside of the chicane, but it's a difficult place to overtake. He's going to go for it. No, Wilson just brakes slightly later, possibly runs all 4 wheels over the line there. He has to be careful of that. The stewards are definitely policing track limits this weekend, so they definitely have to be careful of that. There's Willis. Van Buren to the inside of Willis. That's going to turn into the outside, but if he can just hold on there, he'll have the inside for the final 2 corners here. Nope. Oh yeah, Willis has gone wide. So Willis trying to outbrake Van Buren has gone wide, and Fournier has got through as well. Franchik might also try to get through. This is for 7th place. This is Nash versus Wilson. Nash versus Wilson for 7th place. Wilson's going to have the inside line through turn 1, and indeed Stefan Wilson takes 7th place away from Ryan Nash in the BMW. There is Ben Willis under attack from David Franchik, who looks to the outside. Stijn Fidde is also quite close to them, so they have to be careful of that. Here is the battle for the last points position. Joshua Jones holding that position so far from Matt Klipp. There's Fabian Rieder bringing up the rear of the field. And now we're back up to the front of the field again. So Chris Shepherd had a slight lock-up through turn 1 there. I saw a slight puff of smoke as he went through there. And you do have to be careful in this, because despite the fact the race is only 11 laps long, tyre wear can still come into it. We tend to see tyre wear more with the rear-wheel drive cars, the BMWs. But, of course, tyre wear can come into play no matter what car you're driving. Look at Ryan Nash really locking up the wheels through there, and Matt Klipp's got to the inside of Joshua Jones. This is for the last point. Jones runs slightly wide on the exit, but Matt Klipp has got that place. And now look at David Yunt trying to get on terms with Joshua Jones as well. Yunt, of course, put down the field after a grid penalty in qualifying, so he's recovering from that. And if he can get past Jones, he'll be one step closer to the points. Now we have Ben Willis ahead of David Franchik. Adam Hodgkinson as well, coming from 21st position, is now in 13th. So an amazing opening 3 laps from Hodgkinson there. Now, can Willis get onto the back of Ryan Nash? He's already right on the back of him, but will he be able to get through at turn 1? Nash dropping through the field a bit. Willis to the inside of Nash through turn 1, and is that going to work? Indeed it is. So Nash takes the lead, takes 10th place there. There's Fidde and Klipp. And now Jones and Yunt are side by side. There's contact. Yunt and Jones go off. Yunt has spun. Jones takes to the escape road, and we'll have to see a replay of that. It looks as if they just came together mid-corner. McCready goes across the escape road as well. And we're going to get a replay of that here. So we're on board with David Yunt. Jones runs wide at the final corner, so that's how Yunt got ahead in the first place. And now I'm going to guess that Jones just gets back in the slipstream here. So yeah, Jones back into the slipstream of Yunt. Yunt moves across to defend. Jones goes to the inside, keeps his nose in. They bang wheels once. They bang wheels twice. That's proper touring car racing. And then oh dear. And then as Yunt goes over to the braking zone, there's just a slight tag. I wonder if Jones wasn't expecting him to come over quite that quickly. Here we see it from on board Jones. You see he locks up and goes off on the exit of the final corner there, but gets immediately back into David Yunt's slipstream. You can see Matt Allington in the rear mirror as well. He's going to get a good view of this. Jones goes to the inside. Now you'll see them banging wheels. That's all clean. That's all proper touring car racing. Very robust move from Jones. And then as he gets onto the brakes, he just locks up. He locks up the rears. The car kicks round a bit. Oh, big wheelie from Matt Allington up ahead. And here it is from on board Allington's point of view. as you see, again the two cars banging wheels, and Jones locks up. Yunt also locks up, so the two basically just slid into each other. And then Matt goes for a big sideways wheel. If I was going to apportion blame to anyone in that one, it would be Jones, unfortunately, because it looked as if he just locked up the rears and almost spun the car around, so if anything it was more his fault, but to be honest they both locked up and they both kind of slid into each other, so if I was the steward I wouldn't apportion blame to anyone. It was just unfortunate. Anyway, we have Franchik, Hodgkinson and Nash fighting for 11th place here. Nash has dropped past both of them, and now Hodgkinson is looking very racy on the back of Franchik. You can see the difference in body language between the two cars as they come through the final corner. Franchik is going defensive, saying, "You are not getting to the inside." And indeed, Hodgkinson does not have to get to the inside of the chicane. You can see the words on the side of that car, "Bring the Hodge," as Fidder dives to the inside of Nash, and Nash loses yet another place. I believe that's his 7th position loss in 2 laps, so Nash dropping back through the order, unfortunately for him. We saw him having a very weird lockup earlier in the lap, as we've got, this is for the lead. Leclerc goes to the inside of Chris Shepherd, and he's going to brake later, and he's going to pull the move. So, new leader, Lewis McGlade. Here it is from on board McGlade. So you can see Shepherd goes defensive, weaves and ducks to try and break the toe, stop McGlade from getting into the slipstream. McGlade is going to go to the outside. There's barely any room. If Shepherd hadn't seen him there, he would have driven him right into the gravel, but good racing from both of them, good clean racing. And McGlade just brakes later and goes through into the lead of the race. So Lewis McGlade leads it now from Chris Shepherd. Here's what Shepherd saw. Nothing he could have done about that. McGlade was going for it and did indeed pull the move, as Shepherd locks up down into turn 4. So McGlade leads it from Shepherd. Now let's see if Shepherd can get back onto terms with McGlade. Of course, the two of them were quite even in pace in qualifying, and it doesn't look as if Shepherd's going to take it lying down. I know that he's a feisty racer when he wants to be, so well, we'll have to see what happens here. He locks up again. You can tell by these constant lockups that he's doing that he is indeed pushing the car, possibly past the point where he should be, but he's definitely pushing the car, which shows that he does indeed want this win, and he will not be happy with letting it just go to McGlade. And we'll have to see if he kind of regroups and takes a move for another attack for the lead later on in the race. We've seen that sometimes from drivers where they've just kind of hung back for a few laps, conserved their tyres, as we see a replay of Morby running wide over the escape road through the chicanes. Of course, you have to be very careful with how many times you do that, because if you do that too many times, you might well become under the attention of the stewards, and they will probably penalise a driver who does that too many times. As Shepherd locks up again through the final 2 corners. Now it looked as if he had a very good run out of the final corner on McGlade. Is he going to try and launch an attack using the slipstream? This is going to be close for the lead of the race. McGlade keeps it to the outside of the circuit, stops Shepherd from pulling the move that he pulled a lap ago. Shepherd goes to the outside and he's off. Shepherd runs over the grass and through the escape road. It looked as if he was getting very close using the slipstream. Oh dear, locked up the rears. Possibly braked slightly too late. Wasn't expecting McGlade to brake earlier than him, and he had to duck to the outside to avoid him. And well done for him for doing so. I mean, if that was me, I know I would have hit the back of Lewis McGlade's car. Now here is Rudy Van Buren in a 3 Honda scrap here, closely followed by Jeffrey Fournier. We've got Adam Taylor in 6th place. We've got James Wilson in 7th place, and Jeffrey Fournier is in 9th place behind Rudy Van Buren, who we are spectating now. And this bunch just seems to be biding their time at the moment. They're doing what I was talking about earlier, where a driver will kind of hang back for a few laps and conserve the tyres. Try and force, or try and wait for the opponent ahead to have a bad lap or make a mistake, and then go for it. But someone who is not holding back is Adam Hodgkinson. You can see by the aggressive body language of the car, he is going for it, and Ben Willis is going to have to defend now from David Franchik. So Franchik goes to the outside in the Ford, Willis defends the outside in the Ford, and they're almost going to go 3 wide into the penultimate corner. Franchik ran the outside of Willis, that's going to turn into the inside for the final corner. Franchik takes 10th place but locks up, and will Willis be able to come back at him? Look to get the undercut, but Franchik defended that well. Willis possibly cut the final corner a slight bit as well. Now, looking back through the field, we've got Taylor, and Wilson locks up. Wilson has a big lockup and almost loses the rear end down into turn 2. In fact, he did a very good job not to lose the car there. We've seen several drivers doing that in practice and qualifying, and actually losing it as Allington gets back up onto 2 wheels again. That car must be running a very stiff suspension setting, because it always seems to go up onto 2 wheels over that curb. Now you've got Joshua Jones versus Stefan McCready for 19th place. Jones, of course, started 10th place after several drivers had drive-through penalties, and McCready wasn't that far behind. And there's Fabian Ruder in 21st place. Jones, of course, in his very first race here in the ITC, unfortunately dropping back through the field and not looking like he's going to score points on his debut. As Wilson runs slightly wide, you can see the dust picked up as he ran over the escape road there. I love seeing the cars kind of almost not weaving about, but almost bumping about really over the slight bumps on that straight. It's not entirely flat there as Ryan Nash goes across the runoff area at the chicane. And there you see the Fournier-Van Buren battle again. Possibly dropping back from the other 2 Hondas, and now Fournier will be right on the back of Van Buren. He's going to go to the inside of turn 1, and the championship leader's 8th place might be coming under threat here as Fournier goes to the outside, but Van Buren just brakes later and keeps the position. But he ran slightly wide on the exit. Van Buren, or Fournier, is still really not that far behind. Locked up slightly, I saw in the back of the shot. Philip Morby running 5th, and indeed Van Buren has kept the 8th place for now. We'll see what he can do later on in the lap though, in regards to Fournier, because Fournier definitely looks very racy at this stage of the race. We're 8 laps in, getting to the final stage of the race actually, so not much longer to go in terms of challenging for higher points positions. There's the 3 Honda chain again, possibly a bit more spread out than it was a few laps ago, and they are actually catching Philip Morby in 5th. So Morby did have quite a gap over this group, but in this case he just appears to have dropped back a bit, and I'm wondering whether he's just asked too much of his tyres early on in the race, because we've seen with the BMW especially, because of the rear-wheel drive configuration, the rear tyres do tend to go quite quickly on that car, and if there's some tyres you definitely want to keep control of, it's the rear ones. And it can certainly hamper a lap time when you just don't have the confidence anymore to keep pushing the car as you did before. And again, Fournier is very close through that sector. In fact, Van Buren is closer again to Taylor. There is, or Wilson rather. Here is the battle for 3rd place actually, so this is closed right up. We've got Matt Richards ahead of David Fiddock, and this was a lot further away earlier in the race. And now you'll also notice I figured out a way to get that annoying graphic off the screen. Of course, I'm not very good at controlling the graphics on this simulator, so I didn't realise how to do that until just now. I apologise for that. But anyway, here is the battle for 13th place. That's Matt Clip ahead of David Yunt. And here are the two YTF F1 cars. The only two Toyotas in the race, I believe. Probably quite an underused car, the Toyota, actually. I was speaking to Fabian Ruder the other day, and he said that if his team boss didn't prefer the Honda, he would definitely go for the Toyota, because that's his preference. And I don't know about the other drivers, but the Toyota does appear to be slightly faster than the Honda when it's pushed hard a lot of the time. I have driven both of the cars, and I must say, I think personally I prefer the Honda, but they're two quite evenly matched cars, I must say. Of course, one of the great things about a field of touring cars such as this one is that the balance of performance makes them so equal. It is very, very difficult to tell them apart, and of course there's also the success ballast that comes into to play as well. The drivers who have had more success over the series will have more success ballast. I don't know if the success ballast has come into play in this race, but I presume that if it has, then Rudy Van Buren will have the dog's share of it, the lion's share of it rather, being the championship leader so far. Of course, the success ballast is added to the cars for race 2, and that does almost help the cars that finish out of the points here. But anyway, I'm going to stop waffling because we've got a proper race on here between the three Hondas. We've got Van Buren, who took a look to the inside of Wilson, and now Fournier is going to take a look to the inside of Van Buren. He's going to almost outbrake himself. I was worried he was going to go back into the back of Wilson there, but Van Buren attacked and then got attacked, and Van Buren loses a place rather than gains one. Oh dear, so that's always the issue when you force yourself to get slightly out of the rhythm by attempting an overtake, or by having an overtake attempted on you. And often especially in a train like this, it can be the cars behind that really do benefit from it, and Fournier read that situation absolutely brilliant. He was ready to pounce, and pounce he did so. There is Joshua Jones, followed by Fabian Ruder. So the two Rowan GP cars unfortunately now bringing up the rear of the field. Both of those drivers have very, very limited testing time for this race. And Philip Morby has dropped right back into this battle now. So Philip Morby, who was running very cleanly in 5th place, is now under attack from Adam Taylor, who goes to the inside for 5th place. Morby locks up, runs over the escape road, and he surely can't keep 5th place there. They're going 3 wide further back. Fournier, Taylor and Wilson. Wilson goes to the inside, Fournier to the outside. There's a complete sandwich. And if I was Adam Taylor, I would not want to be in that situation. And Van Buren takes 2 of them. Van Buren takes 2 of them. Great overtake from Van Buren, but he's going to be passed straight. Oh no, that's Taylor being passed back again in this slight contact as Fournier gets tagged by Taylor. Fournier runs wide at turn 5, and Fournier drops to the back of that little tussle there. Now, as for Philip Morby, I would be surprised if he's allowed to keep that position. He was side by side with, I believe, James Wilson. No, it was Adam Taylor. Just ran over the escape road at turn 2, and if he's allowed to keep that position, then I'm sure there will be some protests after the race, probably from the Honda drivers. As Ryan Nash appears to have had a bit of a moment, because you saw him moving very slowly through turn 5 then, and he has dropped behind Joshua Jones as Lewis McGlade exits the final corner and wins the first race of the weekend at the Bugatti circuit. Chris Shepherd is second, Matt Richards takes a brilliant 3rd place, 4th will be David Fiddock, 5th with a question mark is Philip Morby, 6th is James Wilson, and then it's Fournier, Franchik, Hodgkinson. This is hard to keep up with. That would have been Fidder. So Fidder crosses the line in 12th, I believe. There is Willis, Allington and Clip. Clip takes the last points position ahead of Yunt, Williams, and then it will be Stefan McCready. These are all outside of the points, unfortunately. There is Joshua Jones finishing his first race, crossing the line in 19th position. 20th will be... Whoa, my goodness. Oh, look at those glitches. 20th will be a very, very glitchy Ryan Nash. And 21st will be an equally glitchy Fabian Ruder. My goodness, you don't get that problem in real life. Look at that! That is quite ridiculous, actually. Now they've stopped glitching after they've crossed the line. So well done to Lewis McGlade, who takes race 1. Now, the grid order for race 2 will be decided by the results of the last race, so they will start exactly how they finished, with McGlade on pole, and he will be followed by Chris Shepherd, Matt Richards, David Fiddock, Philip Morby, James Wilson, Rudy Van Buren, Adam Taylor, Jeffrey Fournier, David Franchik, Adam Hodgkinson, Stein Fidder, Ben Willis, Matthew Allington, Matt Clipp, David Yunt, Ed Williams, Stefan McCready, Joshua Jones, Ryan Nash, and Fabian Ruder. Chris Butcher also joins us for this race. Of course, he wasn't here last time, and he's possibly overshot the box a little bit, as has Fabian Ruder. Anyway, here come the lights. So, 4, 5, and we're off. This is race 2, and it's Lewis McGlade leading away, but Shepherd gets a very good start in the rear-wheel drive BMW, as does Matt Richards. Richards might actually challenge Shepherd down into turn 1. Shepherd's going for the lead. They're going 3 wide for the lead. Bit of bumping and banging of wheels as well, and I believe that Shepherd is going to lead it into turn 2. Indeed he is, and Richards is going to get past McGlade as well. Morby goes wide in the background, and it's Shepherd, Richards, and here's a replay. Oh dear, oh, an accident behind. That's Fabian Ruder getting caught up with Ed Williams, I believe it is. Here it is on board with Ruder's car, and you will see Williams tangling with Ryan Nash. So it was Nash and Ruder that tangled. Butcher gets involved in it as well, and unfortunately it looks as if Ruder and Williams get involved at the worst. Yeah, Williams was completely innocent in that one, just getting tagged from behind by Ryan Nash. Watch up ahead. To be honest, Nash probably didn't have much space ahead of Butcher either, so it was very difficult to judge. Yeah, there you see it. To be honest, Nash probably could have gone to the inside a bit more and saved that, but anyway, it is how it is, and that's how it came off. I don't know the steward's decision of that incident. We might find that out later. And it's Shepherd, Richards, McGlade, and is that Van Buren in 4th? Yeah, it is, so he's come up from the field. And Philip Morby in 5th. Now, you see Wilson and Franchik side by side going up into turn 5. Fiddock is just ahead of them in the other Ford. The 2 red Fords, both driven by a driver named David. Here we see a replay on board from Joshua Jones, and that's a jump start. Oh no. So we've had a jump start further back in the field, and unfortunately he's going to have to serve a drive-through for that. As we see Van Buren now challenging for 4th. So Van Buren gets to the inside of the race 1 winner Lewis McGlade, and Van Buren gets... Is that third? That's 3rd position. So Van Buren takes 3rd position and the final spot on the podium from Lewis McGlade. Of course, Van Buren has less success ballast than McGlade now, because McGlade won race 1. I believe it's the top 6 who get success ballast in this race, or the top 6 from last round, which means that that might have actually been why. Oh, as we see Taylor and Wilson side by side further behind. Wilson has the inside line for now, but Taylor might have it for the final corner. They bang wheels. It's a good job they didn't get turned around there, and Taylor's going to brake later. Taylor gets Wilson. Now, as I was saying, that might have actually helped the start for Matt Richards, and being why he pulled alongside Chris Shepherd. Is there you see Nash and McCready side by side as Joshua serves his drive-through. And now Stein Fidder is going to get in on the action as well, to the inside of Stefan McCready. And there you see Williams with his missing front bumper just ahead of Fabian Ruder, who brings up the rear of the field. Now here is Ryan Nash putting Matt Allington under pressure. Nash goes to the inside of Allington, or at least takes a look, but doesn't really stick it up the inside. As there's contact, and into the wall hard goes Adam Taylor, and Taylor is probably out of the race. He got caught up with David Fiddock. There you see it from on board Fiddock. They bang wheels once, and then Fiddock just turns into him. Fiddock just turns into Taylor, and in my opinion, that was absolutely David Fiddock's fault. Here comes the view from Taylor. Oh, they actually made slight contact before that. We saw them banging wheels just now. But then Fiddock just turns into him. That might have even been a bit of the red mist. But we'll see how the stewards view that. Oh my god! Oh, and he's rolled it too. So Taylor goes for a roll just for the good measure. And there it is for one last time from the outside as Taylor absolutely smashes the wall. He was very lucky not to ping straight back into David Yunt there. And actually Yunt was just as lucky. Now here we see it from the car behind. Oh my goodness, big accident and big drama that happened just ahead. I believe that was Matt Clip we were riding on board with there. Now we have Wilson versus Hodgkinson, and they are just behind Fiddock. So Fiddock, I believe, has some slight success ballast from race 1. We're seeing another replay here. This is of Rudy Van Buren and Matt Richards. As Richards goes wide, this is for second place, and Rudy Van Buren is going to challenge around the outside of Richards here into turn 5. He's going to try and hold it around the outside. This will be a great move if he can pull it off. He's going to have the inside for the hairpin. I believe he's going to do it, you know. If he can just brake later, he's going to do some Rudy Van Buren late braking for us. There he goes. The car goes up on 3 wheels, and Van Buren takes second place. Bit of a nudge from Matt Richards on the exit of the corner. Here we see it on board with Rudy Van Buren, and that was an absolutely fantastic move for second in the race from the Vodbull car. The Vodbull Honda of Rudy Van Buren, a championship leader coming into this round. And he will now be wanting to chase down Chris Shepherd, the race leader. So Shepherd has now led 2 races in a row, both with a hard-charging Honda behind him. So the first race he led from the start with Lewis McGlade chasing him down, and McGlade got him in the end. Now he's leading the race with a hard-charging Rudy Van Buren from behind. Van Buren, remember, started from, I believe it was something like 8th on the grid, so this is a fantastic performance from Van Buren as Nash gets very sideways through the penultimate corner, if that makes sense. So there's the second to penultimate corner, and there you see Joshua Jones bringing up the rear after his drive-through for a jump start, just too eager to get going. Of course, this was his first, or this is his first race weekend, as we see Wilson to the inside of Fiddock into turn 1. And those two are going absolutely side by side, and I believe that Wilson has just hugged it tighter, and Wilson has got through. So Wilson takes the place of David Fiddock through turn 1. I'm not entirely sure what place that was for, but it's quite high up the order. There's, as we see, Fournier and Franchik side by side. They make slight contact. This is for 6th position. So Fournier and Franchik make slight contact through turn 4. Neither of them get off badly at all, though. But I believe that it was Fournier that got that place. So Fournier is in 6th place now, possibly wanting to chase, or well, he will be wanting to chase down Philip Morby. We'll see where that takes him. There is David Franchik, and there is David Fiddock, just ahead of Adam Hodgkinson. Again, bring the Hodge painted on the side of Hodgkinson's car. He's probably, I'd say, the most feisty driver in the sport in terms of his racecraft, and he's going to possibly try and get the switchback on David Fiddock off the chicane. Indeed, he's going to the inside. Fiddock's going to try and hold it around the outside, though. He's going to have the inside for the next corner, but Hodgkinson does indeed get that place. Now I believe there's 2 cars side by side up ahead. It is indeed, it's Morby and Fournier. So Morby has a slight kick of oversteer on the exit of the corner. Fournier is going to take advantage of that and get in the slipstream. Fournier pulls out, and he's going to try and go around the outside of turn 1. Of course, if he can hold it, he will have the ideal position for the first corner of the chicane. And Fournier is up the inside of Philip Morby, locks up the wheels, and Morby, oh, contact! Oh dear, it looked as if Morby just tried to get the switchback on him, expected that Fournier had gone off. Indeed, that hadn't happened, and Fiddock's going to, Franchik rather, is going to benefit from both of them. So Franchik gets to the inside, and it's Franchik who inherits 5th place. And now Wilson is going to be side by side with Morby as well. So Wilson and Morby battling, and Morby gets that place. Here we see it on board with Morby, so this is what happened down into turn 1. So Fournier goes wide. Morby possibly had a slight kick of overstick. To be honest, he can't just expect Fournier to disappear when he turns in there, so I don't know what he was expecting to happen. But whatever happened, Franchik got off the best from that. There you see it on board with Fournier, who possibly did muscle his way wide a bit, but you can't really expect him to do much else in that situation. As we see Van Buren now challenging for the lead. So Chris Shepherd has been caught at a very rapid rate from Rudy Van Buren. We're on lap 4. Surely Van Buren will get this place down in, or not necessarily down into the chicane, but he's going to give it a try. He took a look to the inside. Now he's taking a look to the outside, just showing himself to the mirrors of Chris Shepherd's car. But surely it's a matter of when and not if, because Van Buren has caught Shepherd at a very, very quick pace here. Shepherd possibly dropping back a bit as well, because Richards has also caught as well. And in fact, if these two come to blows, Richards might be there to challenge for the lead. So they'd better be careful what they do here, even more than they usually are. And I believe that, judging by Van Buren's body language, Shepherd has tried to defend to the inside to try and cut the toe. And now we're going to see it. Van Buren to the inside of turn 1. He's going to try and outbrake Fournier to the outside. Locks up slightly, but gets it turned in. And it's almost like Shepherd let that move go there, because Shepherd braked a lot earlier than Van Buren. Then again, Van Buren is the last of the late breakers, and he had that before the corner. Basically, he could turn in exactly when he wanted to. Here's it from on board Shepherd's car, and Shepherd did brake very, very early, probably to avoid running into the back of Van Buren, but he's going to challenge back again. He's not going to take this line down, is he? He took a slight look to the inside of turn 4 there. But whatever happens, Shepherd has been demoted from the lead by a Honda 2 races in a row now. A different Honda, but a Honda nonetheless, and this time it is Rudy Van Buren who leads this race. Rudy Van Buren leads the second race of the weekend from 7th place on the grid, and Chris Shepherd possibly trying to get the better run on Van Buren out of that hairpin, but he's not looking close enough yet. These four seem to be relatively spread out now, the leading quartet. And I don't think there's going to be a move until at least one of them makes a mistake. Talking of mistakes, I believe that Shepherd locked up slightly, and in fact Richards does look a lot closer than he was. So Shepherd's second place might be coming under threat soon. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that works. But anyway, as they come onto another lockup from Shepherd. So Shepherd making quite a few lockups, possibly more than we're used to him doing. I mean, we saw a few of them in race 1, but probably not to this extent, as I believe that Morby's lost another place further back in the order, or possibly is about to, because he's right in a mix of cars that he wasn't in before. And here you see Fournier and Franchik, those two are getting closer for 5th position. As Fournier possibly a bit of tyre smoke coming off the rear wheels there as he turns in for the second corner, so possibly drifting out a bit as Matt Clip clips Allington to the inside of turn 2, touches Allington again, and there's a spin! Allington is tipped into a spin by Matt Clip, and to be honest, that was completely unnecessary, far over aggressive. Here you see it, so Clip just brakes far too late, smashes into the side of Allington, and then Allington just gets turned around on the exit. We're going to see it on board from Clip. Now this was just from far too far back. Allington had no idea he was there. Muscles into the inside of turn 2 and then just keeps turning in despite the fact Allington is on the inside. Allington comes off worse, and to be honest, if I was the race steward there, I would probably give a penalty. I would probably dish out a penalty to Matt Clip. Now we're seeing a replay of, oh dear, Fabian Ruder, as Ruder goes right over the gravel trap of turn 5, and I believe his teammate Joshua Jones got back through in that one. Of course, Jones recovering after his after his drive-through on lap 1. Yeah, indeed he did. So Ruda just running wide there, braking far too late. And we see the two Rowan GP cars battling again later on in the lap. And Ruda's going to go to the inside of Jones here. This is for 20th position. He's going to get up on the inside curb and he's going to roll it. Oh dear, Ruda goes over and that is a big crash. Keeps the wheels spinning though and indeed rejoins the race. So it looks as if Ruda is going to continue. Here we see it on board with Fabian Ruda as he goes to the inside of his teammate, clips the curb. There was no contact between him and Jones at all. He just took too much of the curb. Over he went and that is unfortunate. I hope he hasn't got too much damage from that. You see in the mirror there from Jones's car, quite a spectacular accident. But luckily, Ruda has been able to keep going in this race. The two Rowan GP cars, of course, in 20th and 21st positions, which are at the back of the field. They weren't quite at the back of the field last race, though, as Nash split the two of them towards the end. I believe his tyres went off quite a bit towards the end because he was really struggling in that race. There you see Philip Morby running 9th now. Was running 4th, I believe, on the opening lap. So Morby not having the greatest of races now. And there is Hodgkinson still on the back of Wilson. Those two have been together for several laps now. And this is more a case of if the move comes rather than when, which is the opposite of what I said earlier for the lead scrap. But we'll have to see. We'll have to keep an eye on this one and see what happens. Slight lockup from Wilson. We've seen quite a few lockups in this weekend actually. As there is the leader, and indeed the battle for second is getting closer now, with Shepherd and Richards, and indeed Ruda has unfortunately retired from the race. And Richards is looking very feisty under the rear wing of Chris Shepherd's car. This is the battle for second place. Two BMWs, both run by different teams, of course, both driven by different drivers, but that goes without saying. Both locking up as they come through turn 4. And they have to be careful of that, of course, because as I've said, tyre wear might be an issue. And I just saw Shepherd possibly dipping two wheels over the white line on the straight, possibly getting into the grass slightly, and that might hamper his momentum. Richards was going to look to the inside, but Shepherd blocks the inside perfectly as we head down into the hairpin. And I believe that Richards is going to have to settle for third place for now, but he's got a much better run out of that hairpin as the skies darken a bit, so we might have to be wary of rain here. But Richards is now right on the back of Shepherd again. That really didn't take him long. He went wide at the hairpin, of course, but he's been able to catch right back up again very quickly with the slingshot effect. And Richards might even go to the inside of the final corner here. Let's see what he does. He's been weaving left and right all lap. No, he's not quite close enough this time. But if he can just get a good run out to the final corner, keep it on the throttle the whole way through the second apex, he will be able to get right under the rear wing again, using the slipstream. And he's closer than he was last lap. Let's see if there's going to be a move coming down into turn 2 here. He's absolutely glued to him. He's glued to Chris Shepherd. But again, I've said this many a time, but the hardest car to pass is a car of your own make, because you're both strong in the same places. Did you see Hodgkinson there? We're seeing a replay of it. There we go, up on two wheels. Amazing. Amazing. Look at that. We've seen plenty of cars going up on two wheels through that section. Mainly Matt Allington, who's done that spectacularly several times, but Hodgkinson deciding to get in on the action there as well. And I believe Allington, as I said, that did indeed get up onto two wheels there. No, there's Allington. It must have been Ben Willis. Adam Taylor now has dropped slightly back to Ed Williams. So Williams, recovering after his first corner incident, locks up down into turn 5. And he's actually catching Adam Taylor. So possibly Taylor making a mistake on that lap, because the last time I saw Taylor, he was a long way ahead of Ed Williams. But Williams is really challenging now. This isn't for points. This is for 17th position as Taylor runs slightly wide. And of course points go down to 15, so this isn't for points, but if there's an instant up ahead of them, this might well turn out to be for points, so this is an important battle. But no move appears to have come yet. The Eidos Motorsport Ford still sticking in behind, as Nash gets some very severe understeer through that hairpin there. He's being caught by several seconds a lap now by Joshua Jones, recovering from his earlier stop go, and the battle's on for second. Shepherd ducks to the inside to try and break the toe, and in fact everyone is in the battle for second. There's a whole train of them further back, and two more cars, I believe that's Franchik and Fournier, are also ducking and weaving to try and get out of the toe or trying to break the toe of the car behind them. And Fournier is a lot closer to Franchik than he was on the previous lap. He's done that sit back and regroup tactic that I was talking about earlier, and we'll see if that works for him, because he'll have to attack soon. Time's running out. Talking of attacking, Shepherd almost left the door open there going down into turn 5, and almost let Matt Richards take advantage. Richards almost got through to second place there, but Shepherd just realised his mistake and covered the line just in time. And the order is still Van Buren, Shepherd, Richards and Wilson, followed by Franchik. Talking of Franchik, I believe that there's been some kind of move behind there, because Wilson, it's actually Wilson behind McGlade, so McGlade is in 4th place, but Wilson has now got past Jeffrey Fournier, and of course Fournier was stuck to the back of Franchik before, so something has obviously happened to Fournier. But back to the battle for second. These two have been absolutely nip and tuck for several laps now. As you've seen, I haven't been able to move my camera away from them the whole time. I mean, absolutely brilliant race between the two of them. We're going on to the penultimate lap now, so Richards will have to make his move soon, if he's going to make his move at all. Richards running with less success ballast, as off goes James Wilson. Wilson was running 7th position, and he appears to have had a spin at the final corner. Actually tags the wall trying to reverse into a safe place, and he gets that car going again behind that clip. Here's a replay. He's going to lose it all by himself. Yeah, just got over the into the wall. He just got over the AstroTurf on the outside, caused the car to spin round. Into the wall he went. That was a hard hit. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't have any suspension damage now. And let's see where he's rejoined. It's ahead of this group, so he hasn't lost that much time. As we're on the penultimate lap here, and look at McGlade. McGlade to the inside of Richards. Richards was attacking, now he's being attacked. The hunter is the hunted. McGlade to the inside for 3rd position. They bang wheels slightly. McGlade locks up, and Richards is going to have to go wide to keep the momentum up, and he's going to have the inside into turn 5. This is where all of the action's been happening so far today, or a lot of it anyway. And Franchik is going to get in on that as well. So Franchik side by side with our race 1 winner as we head down into the hairpin. And he's going to brake slightly later, and he's possibly going to get both of them with Richards. No, he doesn't. In fact, I'm not sure whether he's going to get either of them. Yes, I think he's going to get McGlade. But it looks as if he was going to hold the move on both of them briefly there. That would have been spectacular if he had done. And indeed, he pulls in ahead of McGlade. So Franchik takes 4th position, and the battle for second is absolutely hotting up, because we have, I think it's about 1st to 9th in that chain now. Or 2nd to 9th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 2nd to 7th. Big slide! Richards gets a big slide on him. Franchik is possibly going to go up to 2nd, 3rd. Franchik to 3rd, and that was completely Richards' own fault, I'm afraid. Got very wiggly, and he's tagged Franchik. Very lucky not to spin in there. But McGlade is going to get past Richards there, and Fournier is going to get in on it as well. So Richards possibly letting his frustration get the better of him there, and now McGlade and Fournier are both going to go past him. In fact, Fournier might pass McGlade. We've got a group of 4 coming down into turn 2, side by side here. Hodgkinson is the other car in the group, the one that I haven't mentioned in a while. Richards gets a bit squirrely on the exit, and Fournier is going to possibly go to the inside of turn 4. He's not going to get there in time. Richards blocks that position rather nicely on this final lap of the race. And I can't believe it. They're fighting like this is the first lap, let alone the last one. And here is a replay of what happened to Richards as he just lost the rear end. Possibly his tyres going away a bit. Did a very good job to hold it, actually. Lost it one way, lost it another, but kept it. And then that was just his frustration getting the better of him there as he slid to the inside of Franchik and tagged him. Here we see it from on board Franchik, who sees Richards getting very squirrely. I would have been fearful that Richards were going to spin into my path if that was me. But Franchik pops to the inside, gets through. Now you're going to feel a bit of a thud as we come through the second apex here. Thud, there it is. You don't really feel it much from on board Franchik at all. Such a sturdy car is the Ford, but very wiggly got Richards, and he lost many a position in the process as Shepherd locks up again on this final lap here at race 2. And that looks to be the fight for second over. Franchik, of course, now up to third with Richards dropping behind, and I believe that Richards and Fournier are side by side again. Richards is going to have the inside line down into the third to last corner, but here comes Rudy Van Buren, who rounds the final corner, and he will probably win race 2 here at the Bugatti circuit. Indeed he does, as he crosses the line. Now Rudy Van Buren wins it. Second is going to be Chris Shepherd, who held off immense pressure from Matt Richards amazingly. He celebrates as he crosses the line. He's had a great race. Franchik, McGlade, Hodgkinson, Richards, Fournier, Morby, Fiddock, Chris Butcher, amazingly, who came from the back of the grid to actually beat his teammate David Yunt there. And then it'll be Ben Willis, followed by Matt Clipp. And there's a battle behind for the last point-paying position. Who's going to get it here? It's Allington versus Wilson. And I believe that James Wilson just got it. So Wilson takes the last point there ahead of Allington. An amazing finish. And Allington just misses out on points by what? 100th of a second? Amazing. Here comes Joshua Jones, the driver called up so late he's still using his teammate's helmet. And he is going to cross the line in 20th. And 21st will be, a very, very understeery Ryan Nash, who goes right the way off at the penultimate corner. Again, appears to have bitten all of his life out of his tyres. And Nash crosses the line in 21st. Here is a replay, or several replays rather, of the... look at that. It's an absolute photo finish between James Wilson taking 15th place away from Matt Allington. Look at that. You do not get much closer than that at all. That was only over 1 point, but honestly, that was like it was for a race win. Fantastic finish. Absolutely incredible. Brings back shades of DeAngelis versus Rosberg. Anyway, here comes the final lap battle. That's how Hodgkinson got past both Fournier and Richards, as Fournier and Richards almost tangled and both went wide. Hodgkinson got that move, so he finished ahead of the two fighting BMWs, and Richards kept it from Fournier. So on to race 3, which is a reverse grid. So the reverse grid draw was 14th place, meaning Stein Fidder will start on pole, followed by Matt Clipp. Following them will be Ben Willis, David Yunt, Chris Butcher, David Fiddock, Philip Morby, Jeffrey Fournier, Matt Richards, Adam Hodgkinson, Lewis McGlade, David Franchik, Chris Shepherd, Rudy Van Buren, race 2 winner, James Wilson, Matthew Allington, Adam Taylor, Ed Williams, who was involved in that first corner accident, Stefan McCready, Joshua Jones and Fabian Ruder. Now I'm just going to switch it to Joshua Jones's camera quickly, because watch this. So Jones almost runs into the back of McCready, then lines up in completely the wrong position for his grid box, tries to reverse to get it into position and reverses straight into his teammate. Despite the fact I am technically him, I have no idea what he was thinking. at that time. What actually happened was, well, you'll see on board from Jones in a second. I thought that I was on the other side of the grid to the side I was actually on, so I pulled over into my box far too late. I tried to reverse through the gap in the middle of the grid to try and get it lined up, but I completely forgot that objects in the mirror are closer than they appear, and I ran straight into Fabian, and that is completely my fault. Here you see it from onboard Fabian Ruder's car. This is going to be quite funny, actually, as I reverse straight into his nose, and that is probably my most embarrassing mistake ever, and I'm never going to live that one down. Elise Skinner was absolutely teasing me about it after the race, and quite rightly so. But anyway, away from that, let's get back to serious with the race. Go! Off we go. So Steinfeder leads it away in the Ford. Great start from Chris Butcher. He started 5th on the grid, and it looks as if Butcher is already up to 2nd ahead of Matt Klipp. Klipp is going to have to settle the 3rd for now, unless he can dive up the inside into turn 2. Talking of that, there comes Chris Butcher. Butcher around the outside. Butcher takes the lead from 5th on the grid. Unbelievable, and it's Butcher that leads through turn 3. At the back there is Ed Williams. Luckily, there doesn't appear to have been any sort of opening corner accident like there was yesterday. Well, not yesterday, but in the last race, which was realistically only finished about 10 minutes ago. And there is Ben Willis to the inside of David Junt. Junt is going to try and go around the outside, as is Philip Morby. Morby and Richards fighting further back. Richards has actually made up quite a few positions early on in this race, as well as Junt tries to go to the inside of Fournier. But anyway, it is Chris Butcher who's actually built up quite a lead already. So Butcher leads from Klipp, Fidder, Willis and Fournier, and now side by side are Hodgkinson, and McGlade, our race 1 winner, and in on it as well is Rudy Van Buren, our race 2 winner. So Van Buren attacking, as off the road goes Chris Shepherd, who's led both of the races so far but doesn't appear to be leading this one. We've got tussles all the way through the field, and Allington gets very, very sideways. Allington and Wilson fighting now. Ruder's going to get to the outside of both of them, but Wilson is going to brake later, and McCready is going to get up the inside of Ruder. So McCready, as Ruder goes off into the gravel, so Ruder just left his braking well, you don't need to brake for the final corner, but left his turn in too late because of the car on the inside. And this is for 4th. We've got Jeffrey Fournier side by side with Ben Willis for 4th position. Willis gets the inside, but Fournier gets the 2nd inside because it's a chicane, and much cleaner than we saw from Klipp and Allington earlier at the same place, but they're still side by side, and Fournier is going to get the position through turn 4. So Fournier is up into 4th place, but possibly not for long, because he's actually locked up slightly into turn 5, had a bit of a wiggle. And further back we've got McGlade and Morby side by side, as well as Junt and Willis side by side, but Willis is going to have the inside for the hairpin, so Willis might keep that place as McGlade goes to the inside, and Morby is going to hit! No, so close! He very, very nearly ran into the back of Matt Richards there. I actually thought he was going to, so it was very, very close, but somehow he didn't. Just managed to slot through the gap and avoid everyone, but that was very close. And Morby's actually got it back now, so Morby ahead of McGlade. As slightly off goes Wilson, and Allington's hit Wilson. So Allington, into the wall now. Oh dear. Let's hope he doesn't have any suspension damage from that. But Allington drops to the back of the field after a first lap incident in race 3 here. We're on board with Matt Allington to the inside of James Wilson. Wilson comes on quite robustly. They touch. And it's just as Allington gets over the gravel there. The rear end steps out and he hits Wilson in the side. Here we see it from on board Wilson's car as he goes wide, rejoins quite robustly, gets hit again. To be honest, I don't really think either of those drivers had anything to do other than that was just unfortunate. Here's the start on board with Chris Butcher, who gets an amazing start from 5th on the grid. Honestly, that deserves a medal. 5th on the grid, and what's this? He's going to go to the inside of Steinfeder, and by the time he reaches turn 2, he's going to be in the lead. There we go. He turns in, kicks the rear end out a little bit under braking, but Chris Butcher, who actually missed race 1 and then started race 2 from the rear, leads the race. Look at that. My goodness. So Chris Butcher goes to the outside and leads this race. Here's the replay from the back of the field. Fabian Ruder, of course, started right at the back, and actually got a quite good start there. So he's caught up to the row in front of him. So good start from Ruder there. Let's see if there was any first corner tussling. Well, everyone seemed rather clean in that one. So luckily there was not the first lap incident we saw in race 1 or race 2. And everyone got through there cleanly. Now it is Chris Butcher. Ooh, bit of a wiggle on the exit of the final corner there, but it is Chris Butcher who leads this race after the second lap. There is the rear end of the field. Both of the row end GP cars slightly cutting the final corner there, but probably not gaining much advantage at all because of the sausage curb. There is Philip Morby attacking Hodgkinson, and now getting attacked by Van Buren, who goes to the outside, and Fiddock into the rear. Fiddock hits Morby under braking. Very lucky not to lose the car, but as I said earlier, the Ford is robust, very, very stable, and he manages to keep that. But Van Buren is the great beneficiary from that, getting past Philip Morby. As off the road in the background, I believe, went Stefan McCready, so something went wrong there, and Ruder's got past him now. So McCready, who is now down to 17th place, just seems to have locked up the rears and spun into the infield there. Ruder did a good job not to hit him, actually, so Ruder to the inside gets through there, and here, oh dear, that's McGlade. So the race 1 winner McGlade gets turned around by Philip Morby at the final corner. We're going to see a replay of that on board with McGlade's car. Oh dear, honestly, McGlade had nothing to do there. I think that ultimately the blame there rests with Philip Morby, who just turns in too sharply to the rear of McGlade's car. Keeps turning in despite the fact McGlade's rear is in the way, and just spins him round. So you can't just, as I said earlier, turn in and expect the car on the inside to disappear. The blame there rests with Philip Morby. Now, as we head down into the hairpin on the 3rd lap of the race, I believe, Steinfeder is still ahead of Geoffrey Fournier. This is for 3rd position? I think it's for 3rd position anyway. Yeah, that looks like 3rd position to me. 4th is heavily contested too, with Ben Willis going to the inside of Richards. Richards is going to have that before the corner. So Richards probably running a much lower downforce setting than Willis, and he's got through, and now David Yunt is possibly going to get through as well. Willis in real trouble here. You wonder why he's dropping back like this, but it looks as if he is. So as Yunt kicks out the rear a slight amount, will he be able to get to the inside of the final 2 corners? No, he's not close enough. Bit of a lock up in front. I saw a bit of tyre smoke coming through the final corner there, but Yunt on the rear of Willis, and if Willis is indeed running a high downforce setup, like I suggested earlier in this lap, or rather last lap, Yunt should have got past him there. So to be honest, I don't think it was that. Willis must just have got a very bad exit to the hairpin, which allowed Richards to get the place. As off goes Jones. Joshua Jones has spun across the infield, gets up onto 2 wheels actually at the end of the spin, but he was actually running quite high up the order for his 3rd race there. He was running in 17th position, and you see him just behind his teammate there, locking up the rears. Round it when he put it to the he put it to the infield to avoid slamming into his teammate. He could have tried to correct it, but if he had done, he probably would have hit his teammate. So gentlemanly driving from Jones, not necessarily good driving. Probably probably just had his brake balance too far back, as Fournier takes a slight look to the inside of Fidder there for third place. Of course, Fidder had the reverse grid pole. The reverse grid pole sitter doesn't usually tend to keep the lead of the race because of course, if you do have the reverse grid pole, that means you probably finished quite a long way down in the top 15 in the previous race. But anyway, as Fournier goes to the outside of Fidder, locks up slightly on the entrance to the corner. Fidder does a very good job of defending that, in all fairness. Keeps it tight to the inside, and Fidder keeps third place for now. So Fidder third, Fournier fourth, and Richards might well want a piece of this in fifth as well. Now, will Fournier be able to use the slipstream to his advantage here as we head down into turn 1? He's going to possibly, he's going to take a look to the inside. This is for third position, the final spot on the podium. And he's going to try to outbrake Fidder, but Fidder is very, very good on the brakes, possibly too good. Leaves it very late, and Fournier is going to go for the switchback. Fournier is going to get that. Richards might also get it to the inside of turn 4. Indeed he does. So basically what happened there, as we're going to see on replay, was that Fidder left his braking slightly too late. Didn't go off, but went too wide through turn 1. That set him up badly for turn 2, as you'll see now. And Fournier predicted that perfectly. He was just able to force Fidder into a mistake. And Fournier takes advantage and goes through. We're on board with Fidder now, I believe, as he leaves his braking late. So this is what he would have seen. Actually ran all four wheels over the curb on the exit, and in fact you can see from that shot had a slight wiggle as a result. The curb has got nowhere near as much grip as the rest of the track, and that severely hampered Geoffrey Fournier. Why did I say Geoffrey Fournier? I meant Stein Fidder. I suppose it's because Geoffrey Fournier was doing the overtake. Talking of Geoffrey Fournier, he is being caught very rapidly by Matt Richards now. So Richards has caught up to Fournier, possibly with the help of Fidder, who you must say was holding up Fournier a bit on at the start of this race. Then again, that is entirely what he's entitled to do, because they were racing for position and he didn't weave unnecessarily, he didn't block unnecessarily, and he didn't make any rash moves. So it was all clean and fair racing from Fidder. In fact, very good defence from Fidder, but it has allowed Matt Richards to get right onto the back of Geoffrey Fournier now. And this is now the battle for third place. Of course, the third place battle before was Fidder versus Fournier, but that's completely changed now. Oh, contact! As Franchik gets almost turned around by Adam Taylor there. He's hit on board with Taylor as he gets over the curb and bounces it into Franchik. That's not really his fault. It sort of is, but to be honest, when you've got two wheels up on the curb like that, it's very difficult not to. I hope Franchik didn't lose too much momentum in that, and therefore I hope he didn't lose too many positions in that, but he was, to be honest, quite lucky he didn't go for a spin there. I think if he was in many other cars, he would have done. We've seen that a lot of these other cars are quite fragile when it comes to being touched. I mean, of course, not fragile because they're touring cars, and touring cars are very robust cars, but the Ford just looks so planted, so stable, that, to be honest, I really can't imagine spinning one. Now, through turn 5 rather, you can see that Richards took a different line to Fournier there, just seeing if it will give him the grunt onto the straight line, and I believe that he did catch Fournier using the slipstream there, but didn't get close enough down into the chicane to actually challenge for a place. So we'll see what happens down into the hairpin rather. We'll see what happens down into the chicane. Nope, still not close enough. So these two, of course, were, or rather these two weren't battling in race 2. That was actually Fournier's teammate Shepherd, but Richards is probably getting quite sick of seeing the rear end of a purple BMW. He had to stare at one for the whole of race 2 pretty much, and it looks as if he might be repeating that right now, but we'll see if he can launch an attack soon. Probably not this lap down into turn 2, because he doesn't... Actually, he does seem close enough, doesn't he? Let's see if he can launch it to the inside. Indeed, he takes a look. Fournier locks up. That's the sign of having... of going aggressive to try and keep the place, but Fournier keeps it for now. And I believe these two are also catching that Clip. So Clip is dropping back towards them, possibly asking too much of his tyres too early on, trying to keep up with the car of Chris Butcher. But whatever the case, Clip dropping back slightly. He's still got a bit of a buffer over these two. So, and Fournier is going to have to defend hard here down into the hairpin, as Richards looks to the outside. Not there. So Richards was close down there last lap. He was close down there this lap. But unfortunately for him, the move is still yet to come. Look at the difference in body language as he looks to the inside. Yes! Dives it to the inside, but Fournier is going to have the run on him out of this corner. Let's see if he can get to the inside of the next corner. Indeed he does! Richards goes slightly wide, much wider than I was expecting him to, and Richards loses the place now to Jeffrey Fournier. So Fournier did lose the place initially, and then Richards almost looked like he let him through. I'm wondering whether Richards did cut the chicane, or think he cut the chicane. You can see him going through there. Did he? No, it all looked fair. So, to be honest, the next corner can't have been just giving the place back. Let's see it here. No, he just went wide. He just went wide. Shepherd was faster through the corner, and Shepherd got the place. There's the initial move as Richard dived brilliantly through on Shepherd, and it's almost quite a big shame actually that Richards got past again, because it was such a good move from Fournier that, to be honest, it was quite amazing that well, the initial move was quite amazing, and it seemed like such an easy move. Of course, it's never easy, but it seemed like such an easy move for Chris Shepherd to get back at him. Anyway, the battle now for Hodgson and Van Buren is hotting up. There's Van Buren's teammate, as side by side go Franchik and Yunt. Yunt runs wide on the exit, but it looks as if Yunt is going to keep that. No, indeed, Yunt runs over the grass, and Franchik gets the place back. So Yunt didn't seem in a big hurry to actually rejoin the circuit. We're on board with is this Franchik or Yunt? This is Yunt. So Franchik's to the outside, and Yunt's going to go wide on the exit. Yep, there he goes. Wiggles over the AstroTurf, and then just bounces over the grass. Almost loses it on the exit of the grass as well. So Yunt loses that place, probably in quite a silly way. If he'd rejoined quicker than that, then he would have kept the place. He probably didn't know where Franchik was, and he didn't want to hit him, so that's probably why. Cutting away from that, the move for third is back on, as Richards looks to the outside of Fournier, down into the chicane, and is he going to go through in the same place that he did last lap? No, he isn't. Richards looks very, very quick through that section of the lap. But Shepherd just seems to have the legs on him through the next couple of corners. So it seems to be a very kind of back and forth thing between the two of them. But whatever the case, they're still in the order that they were in several laps ago. And as we go into lap 9, there's limited opportunities for that to actually change. Now, for the battle for 4th position, it's still Steinfidder doing a very, very good job in that position. 5th rather. 6th is Hodgkinson, and 7th is Van Buren, our race 2 winner, who almost tagged the back of Hodgkinson there. They got so close. And I actually thought that they had tugged, but didn't look in hindsight like they did. There is Lewis McGlade recovering from his spin early on as a result of his collision with Philip Morby. Running in 16th, so he just needs one more position to be classified in the points. And of course that's not ideal for a race 1 winner, but if he can salvage something from that race, that's better than nothing. As Van Buren gets a very good run out of the hairpin actually, and Hodgkinson does the same. So Fidder didn't get as good a run as his opponents there, and we'll see if he can hold it for the rest of the lap. It looks as if he's come under attack through the chicane there. The other two a lot quicker than him through there, and indeed the battle for third is back on as well, as it always seems to be at that section of the track. And this is for fifth. The IDOS Motorsport car still holding the two Hondas off. Stein Fidder driving the widest car on the track here, and indeed Hodgkinson is going to come under attack from Van Buren down this next straight. They almost look like one car back there, as Van Buren is very, very close to the back of Hodgkinson. They might even challenge down into turn 2. There are the two BMWs still not being able to fight. I mean, Richards has been behind Fournier for pretty much the entire race, and he still hasn't got through, as Fournier locks up slightly through turn 4. Fournier actually looks quite a lot slower than Richards through that corner. Richards wasn't using the full potential of the car through there. As Richards takes a look to the outside, he's going to try and cut it close on the exit, trying to get a good run on Geoffrey Fournier. Of course, he knows that the hairpin is one of the best out-braking spots on the track, but this time round it is still Geoffrey Fournier. Now, he's very close at this part of the circuit, as he is every lap. It's pretty much do now or don't. He's going to take a look to the inside, but I don't know if he's going to be close enough. He isn't indeed. So, it is still Fournier, but he's gone wide. Fournier goes off over the escape road, and it's going to be Matt Richards who takes third place, as they really are catching clip now. Takes third place in the race over the escape road at the chicane, as Van Buren and Hodgkinson again almost go side by side through the penultimate corner, as we're heading out onto almost the last lap of the race now. It's close, and now we're seeing on board from Richards' car as Fournier goes wide at the chicane. Fournier runs right the way over it and has to concede the place to Richards. He could have kept the throttle in, but if he had done, the stewards would have noticed, and to be honest, lifting off and letting Richards through there was definitely the gentlemanly thing to do. Well done to Geoffrey Fournier. Now down into turn 1. Oh, I think there was a slight collision behind there. This is for the final points position, I believe, between McGlade and Yunt. McGlade, recovering from his earlier spin, is going to go round the outside of Yunt into turn 1. And indeed he does. He makes it stick. So McGlade takes 15th place away from David Yunt. And it looks as if that is going to stick for now. So a good move from Lewis McGlade. And it's getting closer ahead of them between Shepherd, Allington and Franchik as well. And Franchik will probably be getting quite frantic to get past Willis here, as the race is coming almost to a close. And actually that battle between as Fidder's lost fifth, so Fidder has dropped behind Hodgkinson and Van Buren. We see how that happened now. It's almost a replay of what happened earlier on, as he sets himself up badly for turn 2. Hodgkinson gets through on the inside, Van Buren goes with him, and Fidder loses 2 places on the final lap here, and Clip has dropped right back to Richard. Richards was close enough to have a look at him there down into the chicane, and Richards gets very, very squirrely on the exit. he was lucky not to lose that. Here comes Chris Butcher, though we've barely seen any of him this race. Came in to the weekend late on race 2, didn't do qualifying, so he had to start from the back of the grid. But in race 3, he is going to be victorious. An absolutely brilliant result from Chris Butcher, who wins race 3 here. And they're almost going to be side by side across the line behind, as Clip is second and Richards is third. Fantastic. 4th was Fournier, 5th was Hodgkinson, 6th was Van Buren, 7th was Fidder, 8th was Morby, 9th was Taylor, then it was Wilson, Shepherd, Willis, Franchik, McGlade, and Yunt brings up the final point. Here comes Stefan McCready. And McCready is going to finish a fairly average weekend, it must be said, for him. There he goes across the line. Now here is Allington after his first second lap incident. Or his second lap incident. There is David Fiddock, Joshua Jones, and Ed Williams is going to bring up the field. So Ed Williams finishes the race. Sadly, Jeffrey Fournier didn't finish, and here we're going to see why. This is on the final lap of the race. As Fournier goes to the inside of Ed Williams, Ed goes to the outside, and he just turns in. Williams just turns in to Fournier, and that's a big crash as Fournier hits the outside barrier. We're going to see it now on board, as Fabian Ruder, not Fournier, what am I saying? Ruder just turns into, he went defensive, went to the inside, turned into the corner, minding his own business, and just got viciously assaulted from the rear. Here it is on board with Williams. Williams just turned in and expected Ruder to disappear. You can't do that. And unfortunately, Ruder got off worse and didn't finish the race. But anyway, fantastic weekend of racing. Very enjoyable from a spectator's point of view, a commentator's point of view. I mean, you would have heard in that last race that I almost lost my voice. And especially from a driver's point of view. And I thank the ITC and the GPVWC for allowing that to happen. And Rowan GP as well for giving me the seat. And Mike Pittman for allowing me to commentate on this race. Originally, it was not going to be uploaded at all. So, I'm very glad to be able to bring the ITC to the GPVWC channel. It wouldn't be here otherwise. But anyway, great weekend of racing. Thank you all for watching this one. I've been your commentator, Joshua Jones, and I will see you all in the next event. Goodbye.